Erev Shabbat Shalom Rabotai. We are continuing with our Mishna Yomi, Masechet Beitzah. We are up to Perek Aleph, Mishnah Bet. Today's Mishnah should be Leilu Nishmat, Neria ben Svetlana, Aranbayev, and Eliyahu ben Burcha Israelov, Menuchatam beGan Eden, Amen. And Lavdi ben Chaim Nechaim for the Refuah Shanam Bachabat Esther and Daniel Shon ben Rosa, Betoch Shah Cholei Israel. This Mishnah deals with the mitzvah of Kisui Adam, covering the blood. The Torah states that after one slaughters a non-domestic animal, for example a deer or bird, one must cover its blood with earth, sand, or a similar substance, as the Mishnah talks about in Chulin chapter 6, Mishnah 7. The Torah says in Sefer Vayikra chapter 17, Pasuk 13, Asher yatzud tzed chaya o of asher yachel v'shafach et damo v'chisau be'afar. He who traps a non-domestic animal or bird that may be eaten kosher shall spill its blood, meaning slaughter it and cover it with earth. This mitzvah applies only to non-domestic animals, hayot, and to birds, and not to domestic animals, behemot, such as cattle, sheep, and goats. Therefore, if one wishes to slaughter such an animal, a non-domestic animal, for example a deer, or bird on Yom Tov for meat, he must be able to cover its blood. Preparing earth on Yom Tov and using it for this mitzvah can involve the melachot of plowing, digging up earth from the ground, and grinding, crumbling clots of earth to make them loose and fit to spread, as well as the rabbinic prohibition of moving muktzeh. Now, the term muktzeh, literally set aside, refers to objects whose use on Shabbat or Yom Tov was not expected. Moving such objects on Shabbat or Yom Tov is rabbinically prohibited. Obviously, so in our case, it's referring to where the earth was not prepared before Yom Tov. So the Mishnah discusses how this mitzvah may be done on Yom Tov. The Mishnah begins, Hashochet haya ve'of b'Yom Tov. If a person wants to slaughter a non-domestic animal or a bird on Yom Tov, but does not have earth prepared to cover the blood, Bet Shammai Amrim, Bet Shammai say, Yachpor b'deker v'chaseh. He may slaughter the animal, dig up earth with a shovel, and use it to cover the blood. This is how the Gemara explains the Pinat Bet Shammai on page 7b and 8a. However, if earth cannot be obtained except by doing a melacha or moving muktzeh, Bet Shammai agree that one may not slaughter these animals on Yom Tov. However, again, Bet Shammai's opinion is this is permitted only if the earth is loose and the shovel was inserted into it before Yom Tov. Since the earth is loose, removing it from the ground does not create a permanent hole, so this is not considered plowing according to biblical law, and since the shovel was already in the ground, it is not plowing even according to rabbinic law. The fact that the earth is loose also eliminates the problem of grinding, because there is no need to grind loose earth. And finally, the earth is not muktzeh because the insertion of the shovel into the ground before Yom Tov prepared it. But Beit Hillel say, Lo yishchot el im ken haya lo afar muchan mibod yom. He may not slaughter the animal unless he has earth completely prepared from the previous day. It does not suffice to have loose earth into which a shovel is inserted, because clods of earth that require grinding might still come up. Rather, the earth must be completely prepared beforehand, dug up, crumbled, and designated. Umodim shem shachat sheyachpo b'dekel v'chaseh. However, Beit Hillel agreed that if he broke the law and slaughtered the animal on Yom Tov without having prepared earth, he may dig up earth with a shovel and use it to cover the blood. That is, he may use soft earth into which a shovel had already been inserted before Yom Tov, as Bet Shammai rule in the case of one who wants to slaughter an animal in the first place. Now, although Beit Hillel prohibit the slaughtering of non-domestic animals and birds unless he has prepared earth, if one nevertheless goes ahead and slaughters such an animal and becomes obligated to cover the blood, he may rely on Bet Shammai's solution to dig up soft earth, which avoids the biblical prohibition of plowing and grinding, with a shovel that had already been thrust into the ground before Yom Tov, which avoids rabbinic plowing and the muktzeh prohibition. The Mishnah cites a case in which Beit Hillel agree that a person may slaughter a non-domestic animal or bird in the first place, even if he does not have earth prepared from before Yom Tov. She'efel kira muchanhu. If ashes, which may also be used for covering blood, were left in a stove before Yom Tov began, a person may slaughter a non-domestic animal or a bird on Yom Tov and use the ashes to cover the blood, because the ashes of a stove are considered prepared for this use, even if he did not set them aside specifically for this purpose. Since a person knows before Yom Tov that he can use the ashes in the stove for the mitzvah, they are not considered muktzeh. The Rav does say, however, if the ashes were formed on Yom Tov, they are muktzeh in most cases. And that is the end of Mishnah Bet. Mishnah Gimel now discusses whether a person may move a ladder on Yom Tov to take doves from a birdhouse. Now, a dovecot, a birdhouse, is an outdoor birdhouse situated on top of a pole and containing many compartments. Passing doves come and nest in it. These are sometimes taken and eaten. The Mishnah says, Bet Shammai Amrim, Bet Shammai say, En molichin et asulam mishovach leshovach. a person may not move a ladder from one dovkat to another dovkat in Yom Tov because it gives the impression that he is taking the ladder to fix his roof, which is biblically forbidden on Yom Tov. People who see someone moving a ladder on Yom Tov may suspect him of taking it to fix his roof, which is prohibited on Yom Tov under the melacha of building. The sages therefore prohibited moving a ladder from one dovkat to another because it gives the appearance of wrongdoing, marit ayin. According to Beit Shammai, this prohibition applies not only in public, but even in a completely private area where no one will see him. This follows a general rule that anything the sages prohibited because of the appearance of wrongdoing is prohibited even in the privacy of one's home. Now the commentaries explain that actually Beit Shammai prohibited moving a ladder in Yom Tov in any situation where suspicion would be aroused. The Mishnah mentions moving a ladder to take doves from a dovkat because that is the only case permitted by Beit Hillel, like will be explained soon. Now Beit Shammai prohibit this even in private where no one sees him. Aval mateo mehalon nehalon. However, he may tilt the ladder from one window of the dovkat to another window in the same dovkat, because in this case it is clear that he is not using the ladder for a forbidden purpose. Now a single dovkat has many separate compartments, each with its own opening through which the birds go in and out. If one does not take a ladder away from a dovkat but simply tilts it from one of these windows to another, it is clear that he is moving it only to reach the doves, which is permitted. Tilting the ladder in this way is permissible even in public, since it does not arouse suspicion. Beit Hillel matirin, but Beit Hillel permit him to move a ladder even from one dovkat to another in private where no one sees him. Beit Hillel agreed that moving the ladder in public is forbidden because of the appearance of wrongdoing, and that anything the sages prohibited for this reason is prohibited even in the privacy of one's home. Nevertheless, Beit Hillel argued the sages made an exception in this case where the person is using the ladder to take doves to eat, which would add to his enjoyment of Yom Tov. Even according to Beit Hillel, however, this may be done only in private. Now the Mishnah deals with a small type of ladder that is clearly meant for use with dovkats. Moving even such a ladder can sometimes arouse suspicion, and so Beit Shammai forbid doing so in private, and Beit Hillel forbid it at least in public. However, the Rav says if the ladder is a larger type that is clearly intended for house repairs, everyone agrees that it may not be moved even in private. Now, doves and a dovkat are muktzeh. Doves and a dovkat are muktzeh because they often wander away and cannot be counted on to be there on Yom Tov. Now, the Mishnah deals with young doves that cannot yet fly, in which case there is no prohibition of trapping when he takes them on Yom Tov. However, even these can hop away and are therefore muktzeh. Therefore, a person may take them on Yom Tov to slaughter and eat only if their muktzeh status has been removed by preparing them before Yom Tov. So the Mishnah cites a dispute about how this is done. Beit Shammai Amrim, Beit Shammai say, Lo yitol ela im nena mibod yom. A person may not take doves from a dovkat on Yom Tov unless he had shaken them while it was still day before Yom Tov began, and thereby remove their muktzeh status. If a person merely says that he plans to take these doves and does not shake them, there is concern that when he handles and feels them on Yom Tov, he might decide to spare them, and if so, he will have handled birds on Yom Tov for no reason, which is prohibited because it's a needless effort. Beit Shammai therefore require that he shake them before Yom Tov, after which he is not likely to change his mind. Beit Hillel say, Omed ve'omer ze v'ze ani notel. Even if he stands and says before Yom Tov, I will take this dove and that dove, he removes their muktzah status. There is no need for him to take and shake them. Now, Beit Hillel hold that even if he did not touch them before, and we are not concerned that he might decide later to spare them. The Gemara on page 10a explains that this dispute concerns only the first two doves hatched in the dovkat that season. These two doves usually left in the dovkat to keep their mother company. Therefore, even after saying that he will take them, a person might well change his mind and leave them there. For this reason, Beit Shammai ruled that he must shake them before Yom Tov. As for doves hatched after the first two, the Rav says all agree that it suffices to say that he will take them. And that is the Rabotai of today's Mishna Yomi. Everybody should have an Erev Shabbat Shalom. Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen v'amen.